Hi and welcome back to a new video. Today I will be covering the L298 motor controller and everything about it. I'm going over this as you will have to use this on the Rainbow Six Siege drone that will be coming up. If you check on the website, the drone video would probably come out next week and there will be more updates on whether it'll come out sooner or not. Now, let's get started. So why should we use this L298 board? Why not just connect it with an Arduino and motors can still be used, right? So I'll tell you why. It can be used to control both the speed and direction of the motors, and it can be done separately. So you can make one motor go faster than the other or in the other direction. It is also far easier as they already made the 8-bridge for you and they made it super easy to use. And then you can choose to output more than 5 volts as a motors, which is limited by Arduino since the maximum volts it gives out is 5 volts. So you can put in 9 volts or like 12 volts, and I think the limit is 35 volts. You can power both the motors and Arduinos using this, so you only need one power supply if you want to use this. Now let's talk about some important information about this. So over here, these two blue connectors are used for the motors, and the bottom blue connector is for power. So you put in the power supply that is above 5 volts over here. So 12 volts goes here, ground goes here, and then this entire setup outputs 5 volts. So you can use this 5 volts to power your Arduino, and I'll show you how later. And also, if you're using more than 12 volts, remember to take off this jumper, which I will also show you how to do. Now let's talk about the pins. So the pins are used to control the motors, these pins over here. If you take off these two jumpers, they allow you to control the speed of the motors. And then the 4 middle pins control the direction. So these two control this motor's direction, and these two should control that motor's direction. Now let's talk about how you can control the motor's direction using the motor controller. I will show you how to control speed afterwards, but right now I'll just show you how to control direction. So if you want to do this setup, the motors are stuck at max speed, so you can't control the speed. So make sure that your jumpers over here are on and the jumpers over here are on too, otherwise this will not work. Copy the entire setup and also make sure you do this right. 2 wires, one goes to the 9 volts, one goes to the ground on the Arduino. Make sure you don't forget that, otherwise your Arduino will not have power. And then after that, wire this right, and then you'll see why I left 5 open in the next part when we start controlling speed. Now I will go over the wiring with you guys. So first of all, I did most of the blue connectors, but I'll show you how to do one blue connector. So you just take the wire, you just put it inside, and then after that you take a screwdriver, and then you close this. Extremely simple way. Okay, and then make sure you have both grounds from... Oh, for this, I'm not using the 9-volt battery. Instead, I'm using a power bank. But just wired the exact same way according to my schematic. Make sure that the ground here and that the ground on the Arduino is connected. So now I'll connect ground. There. So that's it. And then check if your Arduino is powered on. So now you can see that my Arduino is on because it's connected to 5 volts and ground. And then after that, for the... Oh, this is kind of short, but then... So, for the direction part, make sure that these jumpers are on. These things have to be on, otherwise it will not work. Now I put on all the pins that I needed, and make sure again that the jumpers are on, or this will not work. That's it. Now let's go and look at the code. Now let's look at the code for only direction control. So first we name the pins. 4 and 6 are the pins that are connected to the directions of motor 1, and 7 and 8 controls motor 2. We call all of them outputs because they're outputting current. And then first in the beginning, we make the forward pins high. We give the forward pins power, and then the back pins no power, because we want the motors to go forward first. And then we wait for a few seconds, and then we turn off all the motors, and then we wait again, and then after this time we go backwards. It's extremely simple code, and you can alter it to whatever you want to. Now that we've looked at our code, let's start testing it. So we have everything on the power bank, it's connected to the laptop, and now let's input some code. So now I will upload it. Now when it's done uploading, you should see that the motors start turning. Oh, the power bank turned off. There. Now you'll see that they'll move in one direction, and then they'll stop, and then they'll go in the other direction. If this is not happening with your motors, then go back and check the code and check the schematics if you did it all right. So this is how the outcome should be. Now we will go and look at the speed part. Now let's look at the schematic on where you can control the speed. So here are the speed pins, and they use PWM, so that's why they're connected to 5 and 9. 5 is a PWM pin, so we saved 5 for that. And then make sure that these pins are the same. Those are just direction. Make sure this part is still also the same, because the Arduino won't get power. And that's it. Now I'll leave this on for a little while so you can pause the video and copy the schematic. Now let's wire the speed part. So with the same wires, all you have to do is remove this jumper. So there, you see how that came off? Yeah. And then this other jumper. And then you put the wire on the bottom one here. So over there. And here. And then you connect this one to 5. And the other one goes to 9. That's it for the wiring. Now let's talk about the second code. So over here we defined all the pins, and then after that we made everything outputs. And then here I made a function for accelerating the motors. So this is just a for loop that slowly increases the speed. And then I made another for loop, a function that decelerates the motor, and this is again a for loop. So this is what repeats constantly, and this is so what it does is, in one direction it'll accelerate and decelerate it, and then after that it's going to do the same thing in the other direction. So now let's go and test the code. Now I'm going to upload the sketch. Done uploading. Now you can see that it accelerates at first, and then starts to decelerate. And now it goes in the other direction. And then it starts accelerating, and it'll decelerate again. This is it for the video. That's all I have for today. Thank you for watching.